So after the fall of Roe v. Wade, which left the issue of abortion up to the state's discretion, some of whom exercised tighter controls and some of whom exercised looser controls, one of the other issues was, should we allow or disallow the use of the abortion pill, mifepristone and misoprostol? First approved in 2000 by the FDA, it was to be used within 7 weeks of pregnancy. However, in 2016, the FDA extended it to 10 weeks. And in 2016 and 2021, the FDA relaxes regulatory requirements for mifepristone, making it easier for doctors to prescribe it. And one of those was the initial requirement to receive in-person care with a licensed physician, once before taking the drugs to check for life-threatening conditions, and then 2 follow-up appointments to check for serious complications. Because the warning was that 1 in 25 women would end up in the ER after taking it. However, the FDA permanently eliminated the requirement of ongoing in-person medical care, despite the fact that it could cause serious and sometimes fatal infections and bleeding, concluding it to be no longer necessary, quote-unquote, and even admitting the studies that they based the decision on were unreliable and inadequate, as the FDA relied on its Adverse Event Reporting System, FAERS, database to conclude that there did not appear to be a difference in adverse events when the in-person requirement had not been enforced. But this contradicts the agency's official position that the FAERS data by themselves are not an indicator of the safety profile of the drug. And I did verify that on the FDA website it says just that. And this became the basis of the Supreme Court case FDA versus Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine, where pro-life doctors argued that the FDA violated the Administrative Procedure Act, which ultimately the Supreme Court maintained access to the pill. Now, wherever you stand on the issue, I think that we should all come together to agree that some prudency is necessary. I'm not even making the argument that it should or shouldn't be banned. What I am saying is that controls being in place was necessary, and rolling back those safeguards can be dangerous. Case in point would be Amber Thurman, a 28-year-old girl from Georgia who was pregnant with twins just weeks after the Dobbs decision and tragically lost her life. According to ProPublica, Amber's pregnancy had exceeded the 6-week rule in Georgia, which for context, in Georgia, abortion is legal up until the presence of a heartbeat, which can be detected as early as 6 weeks. But it does have some exceptions, one being the case of a medical emergency. But anyways, Amber was 9 weeks pregnant, so she traveled to North Carolina where it was legal to get a D&C, dilation and curettage. Now on the drive, they encountered traffic, which caused her to miss her appointment. And so as a result, the clinic offered her the abortion pill regimen. But after she was back in Georgia and already took the pill, she started vomiting, at which point her boyfriend took her to the nearby Piedmont Square Hospital, where they discovered that she hadn't expelled all the fetal tissue in her body. And after assessing her at 9:38 p.m., the OBGYN noted the possibility of doing a D&C. And at 7:14 the following morning, they once again discussed doing a D&C, but it didn't happen. And that noon, nearly 17 hours later, the doctors noted deteriorating condition, and by 2 p.m., nearly 20 hours later, finally took her to the operating room. However, by then the situation was so dire, doctors started abdominal surgery, and her bowels needed to be evacuated. But that was risky because there was not enough blood flow to the area. And ultimately, she died of septic shock with her mother by her side. I mean, it's truly tragic, and I feel for Amber and all of her loved ones, because on top of the 2 twins that were on the way, she already had a child, so it makes it that much more heartbreaking. And the fact that the doctor sat her on for 20 hours, just pondering the idea of a dilation and curettage, is just abhorrent. And in my opinion, should be a clear case of medical malpractice. And again, while all of this is very tragic, I think the fact that the media is using this for political gain is disingenuous. With People magazine saying Amber died due to Georgia's abortion laws, MSNBC saying the abortion ban killed her, saying if it weren't for the Christian right, Amber would still be alive, and even Kamala Harris blaming Trump's abortion ban.
And so when she discovered that she was pregnant, she decided she wanted to have an abortion. But because of the Trump abortion ban here in Georgia, she was forced to travel out of state to receive the health care that she needed. But when she returned to Georgia, she needed additional care. So she went to a hospital. But you see, under the Trump abortion ban, her doctors could have faced up to a decade in prison for providing Amber the care she needed. Understand what a law like this means. Doctors have to wait until the patient is at death's door before they take action.
With her going on Oprah Winfrey's show and bringing the family on.
Amber's mother, Shanette, and older sister CJ and Andrika are here, and they wanted to be here tonight to speak out for the first time. Ms. Shanette, what do you want us to know about Amber's story?
I want y'all to know Amber was not a statistic. She was loved by a family, a strong family. And we would have done whatever to get my baby, our baby, the help that she needed. Women around the world, people around the world need to know that this was preventable. 2 years later, you're looking at a mother that is broken. The worst pain ever that a mother, that a parent could ever feel. Her father and myself and the family, you're looking at it.
I mean, it's unimaginable, unfathomable that for a mother to have to bury their child. I mean, that should never happen.
Well, we appreciate so deeply you being here. And we're all watching you hear that tape and those words. We know how re-traumatizing that is and the strength it takes for you to be here to tell your story. And we deeply appreciate it. And I have to ask you, as her sisters, how are you coping? And what does knowing that this could have been prevented, how does that sit with you? How do you cope with that on a daily basis?
I mean, it's heartbreaking. You know, that was my baby sister. I love my baby sister, you know. I'm beyond hurt, disappointed. I feel guilty. I wish I could have helped her, you know, because she was suffering. And we had no idea. We trusted them to take care of her, you know. And they just let her die because of some stupid abortion ban. They treated her like she was just another number. They didn't care for her as if, you know, she was their daughter or their, you know, granddaughter.
Yeah.
You know, and she's not here. She'll never come back.
Yeah. Andrika, what do you want to say?
I want to say that it's very disheartening that my sister was allowed to suffer for 20 hours. She suffered. It was nothing that we could do to help her. We trusted the healthcare professionals to do their job and save her, but they failed her.
I mean, the healthcare system didn't care about her. Those doctors didn't care about her.
Well, I think the most powerful thing that you've said here, Ms. Shanette, is that your daughter is not a statistic. She had a life. She was loved by her sisters, loved by her family, loved by those who knew her, and she's not just a statistic. And we are happy to speak her name tonight in this room, talking about what this country needs in terms of reproductive rights and freedom. What do you want to say, Madam Vice President?
I'm just so sorry. And the courage that you all have shown is extraordinary, because also you just learned about how it is that she died. And
they just recently learned, yes.
How?
Yeah.
And Amber's mom shared with me that the word over and over again in her mind is preventable.
Yeah.
Preventable. That word keeps coming to her. And this story is a story that is sadly not the only story of what has been happening since these bans have taken place. And
Just to step back in terms of how we got here. The former president chose 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would overdo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did as he intended, and in state after state, including yours, these abortion bans have been passed that criminalize healthcare providers. In a couple of states, prison for life, Oprah. Prison for life in a couple of states for a doctor or nurse who provides health care. And so
it seems very apparent.
Even when the mother's life is in
But
danger.
see, here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with that. So is she on death's door before you actually decide to give her help?
That's the problem.
Now, again, I really feel for that family. It's very, very tragic. And I'm saying this as someone who's not even trying to make the pro-choice or pro-life argument here. And at the risk of losing some of my subscriber base, I do believe there should be some exceptions, particularly rape and incest, especially when it's the case of someone who's a minor. And I understand the point of view that you don't fix evil with killing the baby. Having said that, I do think that there should be some compassion to the women who are bearing the child. And having said that, I do think that Kamala Harris, the media, and other people on the internet are being disingenuous by blaming Georgia. Because one thing I didn't mention is that at the time, North Carolina's limit on abortion was 20 weeks, which would have given her 11 more weeks to try to reschedule. And I'm not even blaming Amber. What I'm saying is that you have to wonder why the doctors in North Carolina didn't try that option rather than push a pill that they know is highly unregulated. And also the idea that this is because of Georgia's 6-week abortion ban is also lies, because the doctors wouldn't have been criminally prosecuted for performing an illegal abortion because, number one, this was a medical emergency, and number two, this technically wasn't an abortion. She already had the chemical abortion. This was just to remove the remaining fetal tissue in her body. So again, blaming Georgia's laws is not only a moot point, but it's also a huge disservice to Amber's memory, as well as her grieving loved ones. It's a cunning way of capitalizing on people's emotions. But seeing how Kamala always tries to say that Donald Trump will sign a federal abortion ban if he's president, even though he said he wouldn't multiple times, this really doesn't surprise me. There is no limit to how far she'll go to peddle lies, especially with election season right around the corner. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to this channel, hopefully I've earned a subscription. Here's some videos for you to watch in the meantime. Until next time, peace out.